A very good afternoon to all of you. And I welcome you all to Dr. Nandita Palshetkar Oration. And we are very fortunate that this oration is being delivered by Dr. Nandita Palshetkar herself. And she has been, we all know her, she has been president of almost all organizations, I think 5 important organizations of Obs and Gynae. At the same time, she has been bestowed fellowship from Royal College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. She is eminent IVF specialist with more than 25 years experience. She is medical director of Bloom IVF Center, which heads more than 7 centers all over India. And she is specialized in ART from world famous organizations like Belgium, Italy, Copenhagen, and she is pioneer in India for latest techniques, especially ICSI, laser assisted hatching, blastocyst culture, spindle view, whatever you name. And I think the latest thing starts from her center. And she has been a PG teacher of fellowship in reproductive medicine, and she has been the teacher for examiner for national board also, and she has delivered more than 85 orations and maybe more than 1,000 talks, I would say. And she has been, as already I said, she has been a president president of ISAR, president of IAG, president of MOGS, president of MOGS, and she's Foxy representative in FIGO member body. And
thank you.
So there are too many accolades to her, and besides that, I would say she's beauty with brain. She's really intelligent, and she has lots of empathy for people. That is another part of her.
Thank you, Asha. Thank you for that lovely, lovely introduction. And today is a fabulous day for me. I think I have my chairpersons, Dr. P.C. Mahapatra, Dr. Rishikesh Pai, and Dr. Asha. All 3 of them whom I look up to. I mean, Asha may be the General Secretary now, but she is a senior person who has always inspired all of us. So Asha, we really do admire you. My talk today, and it's something of a very emotional moment for me, because it's the last oration of the series which I'm giving. And this is a series which I thought about in COVID, that, I wanted to do something different. And COVID gave all of us time to think about it. And reproductive aging, nobody had really talked about it in details. And I thought, let me get into the depths of it. And I began in Mumbai with the oration of the Sleeping Beauty. I told you a beautiful story of the Sleeping Beauty. Then Bhopal, we went into the different hallmarks of aging. And now today I'm taking you on a very exciting journey. Aging has unbelievable connections in the female body. And that is where I'm going to take you today. And if you look at this Scottish zoologist, George, look at the first picture. He's a young man with this pigeon. In the second picture is 30 years later. And look at him, he's aged, but the pigeon looks the same. And 10 years later, he's really become old because he's suffered from cancer and aging. But the pigeon more or less looks same. So what we need to understand is how aging affects the different species in our world. In 1553, this is a lovely story about a Spanish explorer, Ponce de Leon. He set out, aging has always attracted people. We need to find anti-aging. We want to live Yayati, in Mahabharata. So this is the story of Ponce de Leon, where he looked for the fountain of youth. And this is a painting by an Austrian artist. But let me tell you what happened later. There was this Dr. Luella, who actually in the 1900s, she said, oh, I found this island, she found this fountain, and she sold water and made billions out of this fountain, telling people that it's anti-aging. It's crazy how, people can fall for it. Do you remember these 2 ladies? We all know about them. Diana, Princess Diana, and Teresa, Saint Teresa. But anybody knows Jean Clement? Anybody in this audience? This was the oldest woman who died in 1997 in the month of August. And do you know the paradox of aging? In fact, she had a house when she met this lawyer. He was 50 years old. She was, I think, 80 years old. And he said, okay, I'll pay you a certain amount that when you die, the house becomes my property. And he landed up paying 3 times the cost of that house because she died at 120, he died before her. His wife had to pay her money. So that is the aging paradox. So there are really certain things which we understand, but certain things we don't. So if you look at it, a lot of research has gone into it. And today we know that the ovary is the key. That's what I've been saying. But what is the ovary? Ovary is the first organ to age in the human body. And it's kind of something which tells you what is going to happen in the future. Of course, it affects fertility, but also the future health in women. And it's a time machine. It travels to the future. It reaches old age before the rest of your body has done. And do you know the cells of the ovary, if it's an aging ovary, we see a lot of young girls with low AMH. Their cells, if you see in the ovary, they're like a 70-year-old other organ cells. That much aging occurs in the ovary. It is that much ahead of time. And, that is what we need to understand. So these are this slide is very familiar to you because I've been using it for all this time. But today the question that arises in our mind is, what is menopause? Is it time to cancel menopause? Can we do that? Sharks and humans are the only 2 species in the world to have menopause. No other species in the world has menopause. So nobody has that quality of life which we suffer after menopause. So is it time to cancel it? But remember that the ovary is a pacemaker. It's considered as a pacemaker. It leads to aging. Is it time to stop menopause? Yes, for some women who have premature aging, we could think of it. Or is it time to accept menopause? I think, there has to be a transition. We are living longer. Previously, we used to die at 40 and 50 ages ago. So there was no menopause. Women didn't undergo menopause. But now we are living longer. So there are a lot of things we're dealing with menopause. So yes, and look at this cover of Vogue magazine. This is a tattoo artist who was 106 years old, and she was on the cover of this fashion magazine. So yes, accept it gracefully. But what we want to do is we want to live healthy. So look at this paper which says that if you attain menarche later and menopause later, you live up to 90. And now what we are seeing in our young girls, in our young children, that the menarche is at 10 years, 11 years. So what has happened? Why is it happening? And can we do something about it? That is the question. Then, is menopause causing aging or aging causing menopause? I think that is something that we need to understand. Even sleeplessness, menopause and sleeplessness both cause aging. In fact, menopause accelerates aging by more than 6%. And remember that. So what we're doing is we are defying time. We're defying the clock. Look at this beautiful image of a woman. It's an artistic portrayal of this woman who is, it's a statue, and she's having a beautiful life. That's a woman. And then menopause hits and it gets shattered because her quality of life gets shattered. So this is where we reproductive endocrinologists come in to figure out how we can help this woman. And remember one thing, there is a debate going on in fertility sterility that fertility experts today are the people who should treat menopause because they are the ones who are expert in reproductive medicine, but only because there are not enough of them, the REIs. And that is what we need to understand, and we need to learn the whole medicine of aging. This was a beautiful recent paper by the geneticists from human ovarian aging, and it's not even published yet, okay? And it shows that if you look at young ovaries and old ovaries, the granulosa cell, the theca cells, all reduce because of the aging. Even the communication between the cells is much, much lesser. And what we need to understand is what happens. All these things result in first trimester miscarriages. They're all because of the chromosomal errors. And what are these chromosomal errors due to? Chromosomal errors begin at the start of life. In my last oration, I talked about a protein, a cohesion protein, which keeps the chromosomes together. And today, the same person has come up. It's a molecular glue which keeps the chromosomes together. You know, this is what I talked about, that when the girls are young, the abortion rate is higher because of the chromosomes 1 to 6, there's meiotic error in them. Then, as she is in a reproductive phase, the meiotic error gets much better. And as she ages, the chromosome 15, 16, 21, 22, there are meiotic errors there. So what happens in this, because of aging, is the cohesion molecule becomes weak because of aging, because of increased ROS. But now there are different things. I talked about the molecular mechanism behind the biological clock. That was the first time it was introduced that time. But now something new has come. And that is the guardian protein. So not only is there a cohesion, but there is this bridge which guards this cohesion protein, and that is known as sugosine. So as you can see that blue line, which is the bridge, and that is sugosine. So in the younger one, the bridge is intact. In the older one, it is broken. And you can see it much better in these slides, where you can see the upper part is the young eggs, and the lower part is the older eggs, where the green part is the sugosine protein, which is totally disrupted. Look at this picture. It's a beautiful picture. Remember that we are talking about miscarriages, right? Miscarriages happen because of chromosomal abnormalities. Now, to separate out the chromosomes, you need energy. Energy is very, very important. And these two videos which you're seeing are real-time videos of the chromosomes, the spindle fiber forming and separating. 46 chromosomes need to split. They require energy, and if there's not sufficient energy, it leads to aneuploidy and miscarriage. And do you know the cost of moving one chromosome? Anybody? It's 5 to 50 billion ATP for one chromosome. So can you imagine? This is, of course, an artistic rendition of the polar body, which is there in the second picture. This is it. But what you need is, I don't know, I guess how many zeros will be there. I can't. I'm not good at math at all. I mean, 1 lakh and 10 lakh, I confuse. So can you imagine the energy that is required? And energy, what has happened now? What has changed? I've always been talking about the 9 hallmarks of aging. Now this research has shown there are 12 hallmarks of aging. And these hallmarks of aging, the base problem is mitochondrial dysfunction. And mitochondrial dysfunction means energy deficit. Energy deficit, what does it lead to? Aging, cascade of cellular defects, and you can see this energy leads to problems in the brain. And the brain requires the maximum energy. And when the brain starts getting affected because of the lack of energy, it starts, there are manifestations of aging, like affective stress, behaviors. For women, what really matters is the decrease in the female hormones. And that is what we must remember, how it's all connected. So energy, aging, menopause symptoms. If you look at this figure, the first figure is a young girl where the ROS and the antioxidants are good. So she's healthy, she's energetic. But as she ages, you can see that the ROS increases and her whole body goes into a very defective kind of a thing. And the maximum aging is there's loss of hair pigmentation, reduced brain volume, reduced gonadal volume. I think that is what is something we must remember. And remember, aging cells accumulate costly imperfections. This is very important because we are seeing a lot of young girls with oocytes, with AMH, which is less. Now, what happens with aging is we are getting miscarriages. So look at the first slides. There's slower division. So obviously mitosis, fragmented embryos, etc. All these things can cause problems. Cytokine release. Now when there's cytokine release, again it leads to, we know, abortions. We know this is one of the causes of abortion. So all these we know in low AMH, POI patients is increased risk. This is the basic behind it. Your mobile phones, all of us carry mobile phones. Imagine if the battery goes off in the mobile phones. What happens? Everything shuts down. All the functions shut down. I mean, you can't do anything. Or if your mobile phone goes on, you want to save the battery, what you do? You finish everything and just keep it on call mode or something like that. So this is actually what happens in the body as you age, because the energy that is required, it's like I'm going in a hurry to Leelavati. I'm accelerating, but there's a car in front of me. So my car is just not going ahead. So it's a hypermetabolism, but it's not moving. So it's also paradoxically, it's a hypometabolism. So these are the invisible world of nanomotors. That movie which you're watching is the inner membrane of the mitochondria with the 5 complexes which are there, and how the electron transport is happening. And CoQ-based electron-proton transfer of this energy coupling, it generates energy equivalent to a bolt of lightning. That is the kind of energy that is created inside your body. And can you see this beautiful picture with fire? Actually, those are mitochondria. So mitochondria play a very important role. They are protecting the nucleus, and those are the epigenetic insults that are happening. So as you age, the mitochondria also age. So then these epigenetic effects on the nucleus, and then you see the different effects that happen. So you need to protect them. So the whole thing of aging is, interrelated, and we need to strengthen ourselves. So the membrane inside the mitochondria, do you know how big it is? 4 football grounds, perimeter 4 football grounds. It's so huge. And I had to write this down. Galaxy has 10 to the power of 23 stars. Coenzyme Q10 expels 10 to the power of 22 protons in a second. So life, friends, what you feel is all about energy. Life is about the flow of electrons and protons. Today, I'm really going to show you new facts about brain, energy, and female hormones. This is the new connection that I'm talking about. The brain represents only 2% of the body weight, but it takes 20% of the energy consumption. And what you need to understand is that the ovaries, the brain, and aging, it's a longevity connection with mitochondria and the hormones. The brain also controls your hormones. This is a beautiful rendition. Actually, it's a real picture, but of course, an artist's rendition of the mitochondria inside a single neuron. And these are different, mitochondria of different shape. They can be long, short, they can be spindle shape, they can be anything. And there are more than 500 types of mitochondria in a single neuron. And what we need to understand is that today, reproductive aging is a dysfunction, not only of the ovaries. It's a hypothalamic pituitary axis dysfunction. It's a disorder of the neurotransmitters. And that is what ultimately leads to ovarian aging. So it does not begin in the ovary, but it begins in the HPA axis. And this book is beautiful. I think everybody should read it. The GnRH neurons, or the hormones, a single neuron utilizes approximately 4.7 billion ATPs per second in a resting human brain. That's really a lot of ATP. But let's come to this. This is a very intricate connection I'm talking to you about: mitochondria, HPA axis, and stress. Acute psychological stress is very, very, it causes a lot of inflammation, etc. And also it causes telomere shortening. So remember that the mitochondrial DNA also increases in response to this. And let's come to the estrogen. How is this all connected? The untold story of estrogen. Can anyone tell me what is estrogen? Yeah, reproductive hormone. That is the answer which everybody gives. But there is a new role to it. It's a master bioenergetic regulator. So, where does the hormone synthesis take place? Let's travel to the unknown world of estrogen. There exists a strange role of estrogen away from the reproductive tissues, and that is what we need to understand. So, most people think of estrogen as it relates to reproductive capacity in a woman, but that's only one of its many roles. The title of this review article says it all. Estrogen, a master regulator of the bioenergetic systems in the brain and the body. And you know that estrogen is present everywhere. It acts on a lot of tissues in your body. In fact, even if all the signaling pathways of estrogen, the receptors are outside the mitochondria, but the mitochondria controls it. So all signals of estrogen, it's like a transmitter. You know, the tower just controls everything. Your cell phones will not work if your tower in your area just doesn't work. So this is a very simple thing. We all know that cholesterol is converted to pregnenolone, and the enzyme which converts it is the cytochrome P450, and that is synthesized only in the mitochondria, inside the mitochondria. So actually your mitochondria control the synthesis of this hormone, and that is why it's very important that this small organ has gained importance and is really, really relevant. So in menopause, women who had depression prior to menopause are 5 times more likely to become depressed around menopause. And also because we know that the brain requires energy. Also, as I said before, increased total amount of mitochondrial DNA because it's trying to keep up with that, requirement of energy, and shorten telomeres. Even the last time I showed you a paper that when you're pregnant and you have stress, the babies that are born to you have shortened telomeres and shortened life. So what happens to the estrogen? It's all absolutely fine when you're in the premenopause, you've got good levels of estrogen. But in the perimenopause, that's your critical period. And that is what I want this audience to awake to. If we have to supplement the woman on HRT, it has to be done in the perimenopause. And that is important because that's the time it will help her the maximum. That's the time when the antioxidant and the ROS balance starts tilting and the mitochondria starts undergoing a little bit of damage. As you can see, the oxphos-related energy is all, reduced. So there's alternative energy fuel. And that's not as efficient as the one produced by mitochondria. So we have to be careful. And of course, in the menopause, it goes really haywire and all the things happen, dementia, Alzheimer, etc., etc. So this is reproductive senescence, and we need to do. There was this Nobel Prize winner, Albert, in 1937, he said, life is nothing but an electron looking for a place to rest. And of course, Peter Mitchell is very, very popular. He's the one who's the inventor of coenzyme Q10. And today, I can actually say that coenzyme Q10 is beyond a supplement. It is an energy spark of life. Let me tell you, do you know how cyanide poisoning kills? Cyanide actually halts the flow of electrons in the mitochondria, and you're dead. We know that. So this is how the whole system of your energy works. Of course, antioxidant effect, mitochondrial function enhancement, autophagy, endocrine system dysregulation, anti-apoptosis, immune system regulation. These are the different ways in which this molecule acts. Then the electrical energy field. We all know about Leber's hereditary optic neuropathy. This is an inherited neuropathy, and this is all because the electron flow is stopped in the mitochondria because of a mutation. And it stops the coenzyme Q from going into the mitochondria, and you get optic neuropathy. So all these makes you realize how important the mitochondria are in everything. What about this particular study, which was just released 1 month ago in December 2023? It shows that in premature ovarian insufficiency patients, the coenzyme Q10 expression was significantly reduced as compared to controls in POI. You can see this chart. And also, the ROS is definitely higher in POI. So, this study was done to show that effect. Secondly, is in vitro fertilization. When you add coenzyme Q10 to them, you get more granulosa cells, you get higher diameter of the follicles, they mature, you get more mature follicles. So definitely it helps in ovariogenesis. Now, this is an article, on 6th Feb 2018, it had come that it is good for insulin resistance. And now, latest article in 27 December, my friend Shashank Joshi sent it to me. And he said, Nandita, look at this, because he knows of my interest. So he said, mitochondrial electron transport chain and coenzyme Q10 are linked with a pathway that drives insulin resistance in skeletal muscles. So all these articles, the meta-analysis, are all coming. This is the systemic review and meta-analysis that it's a safe therapy to improve PCOS by improving insulin resistance. So yes, we can use it. This is, of course, one of my favorite studies where the space station, ISS, International Space Station, has actually, when astronauts travel into space, because of radiation and gravity, they get aging and their eyes get damaged. 70% have damage to the eyes. By giving coenzyme Q10, they prevented damage in 70% of the people. Then, of course, this is another study which says the telomeres shortening can be prevented because of damage of exposure to epigenetic and toxicity. And then perimenopause, when you're giving HRT, when you're giving statins, all of them cause deficiency of coenzyme Q10. All of us are getting older. We are on antihypertensives. We're taking statins. I think it's very important to take this so that, because it causes a deficiency. It causes a deficiency of it. So finally, I would like to summarize by saying that mitochondria, actually, it's a symphony and orchestra. It's like a symphony and orchestra, multifaceted mitochondria. If one of the functions goes haywire, everything goes haywire. So we need everything to be run perfectly like this. And that is what is a healthy life. And I think that is the opportunity that we have, that we can have this kind of symphony, this kind of life for the women we treat. Because we have a lot of pollution, we have a lot of external factors, stress, etc. So if we can help our patients become healthy, I think it will really, really help us. And there was a beautiful article which I want to end with, McKinsey's report. Yes, we are not into the finance world, but I just read this article last week. And McKinsey, McKinsey said, the world is losing $1 trillion because women are not being taken care of. This is an opportunity for the governments to take care of their women, to improve their quality of life, and to make them more productive. So I think we in this hall have this opportunity. So friends, thank you for this wonderful, wonderful opportunity for me to talk to you. And I am ever so grateful. Thank you so much. And I'm really, really happy today. And I've had a wonderful tenure, and I'm just happy. Thank you.
Wonderful and mesmerizing. I would appeal you, please give a standing ovation to Nandita.
Well, friends, God has created few women with beauty and brain. Rightly, our treasurer has already told, and the secretary has already told, and I agree that Nandita is one of them. You are too fortunate to have it, and I think it's a fantastic oration. I've listened to this, but this particular oration is modified so well and so lucid that has gone deep into the hearts of everybody for that. And I'm reminded that everything, a mixture from mythology to science, we know for years together, for decades together, there are three things: body, mind, and soul. What is soul? Now science has explained that the soul is energy. And what is energy? She has already descriptive about it for that. And the wonderful topic and the growing science, reproductive aging versus biological aging. I think after this talk, this ISAR 2024 in Bhubaneswar will be a seed for a new branch or a new society on human aging for that. I think a new society will come forward in near future, human aging, and this will be the first person, Nandita, will be happy about it for that. So 28th Annual National Conference of Indian Society of Assisted Reproduction, ISAR Dr. Nandita Palshetkar Oration, delivered by the same person. Dr. Nandita Palshetkar, this is unique. On the topic, Ovarian Aging, Defying Time, Defying the Clock, on 3rd February 2024, Bhubaneswar, signed by, again, Nandita Palshetkar, President ISAR, and Dr. Sujata Kar, Secretary ISAR, navigating the new normal in ART. I think we are navigating through ART to a new society, human aging in near future for that. Thank you very much. Fabulous.
Thank you.
Fabulous.
Thank you.
You are happy? I'm really happy.